Ee Imhotep, African family. Greetings, beloved, and welcome once again to the Building the Lighted Temple Wisdom Service. For the purpose of the recording, I am Dr. Nteri Nelson, a metaphysician, a licensed clinician, and an educator, and co-founder of the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness. So once again, I welcome each and every one of you on this glorious Sunday of our grand rising. And in the Building of the Lighted Temple Wisdom Service, this is where we are coming together in the midst of these troubled times, in these ethereal waters, this universalizing resonant vibrational field, this etheric space, this virtual space, where we are able to amplify our vibration and distribute the light. So this is liberated space, beloveds. And I just want to say before I welcome each and every one of you who have joined so far, that we have our news, NU''S, our latest news, is that we have had a very successful and powerful graduation and completion of our Ka'aba, Building a Lighted Temple with the Metaphysical Keys to the Tree of Life, Level 1, First Degree program, where the initiates who are incoming are studying this text. I just want to shift here to welcome each and one of you. So before we begin, we're up to 17, so that's wonderful. I see in the chat, I see Keisha says Hotep, Hotep Keisha. Linda says Grand Rising, Hotep Linda. And Roderick says Hotep, and congrats. You'll join us next time, hopefully. And Martha says Hotep. Greetings. So let me just go here and just say welcome each of the participants. So we're up to 18. That's wonderful. Did I miss anyone? Okay. So here we are. So, beloveds, today's presentation is entitled The Ba Soul and Its Journey, Cosmogenesis and Cosmogony of the Golden Sun Egg. So today, beloveds, we will be focusing within this image here of the Ba Soul in its journey. And the cosmogenesis, as reflected here in this image, cosmogenesis and cosmogony of the golden sun egg. So we are in our genesis, our cosmogenesis story, and our Commission ancestors, to our Commission ancestors of the Nile Valley, the Ba is the soul. And what is Ba? As we begin, Ba is an individualization of spirit. You will see as we go along these terms unfolded and unpacked. Ba is the individualization of spirit, and spirit is Ka, which is called by the Commissions. Spirit is called Ka by the Commissions, or the Kemeta'u. And as such, each Ba represents a level of conscious activity, which is called soul by our ancestors. So fasten your seatbelts, family. We are embarking once again on a major wisdom studies in the spiritual journey of unfolding consciousness. And we will examine closely Ba, the soul, and its meaning. And we'll be turning to this book that I have authored, The Golden Sun Egg Uncracked. The noon word, Negg, the goose goddess who laid the sun egg, the cosmic egg. So we'll be looking into this text today that I have authored. Because in order to understand Ba and the spiritual journey and unfolding consciousness of the soul, we first must re-immerse ourselves in the primal beginnings and our cosmogenesis and cosmogony story. And then, and only then, will we be fully equipped to come to earth with a thud in these next upcoming wisdom series. Come to earth with a thud and understand our journey as Ba man and Ba woman in all of its travails and its triumphs. As you will ultimately glimpse, beloveds, as you will ultimately see, it is only from this wide angle lens celestially can we see how to enjoy the journey terrestrially. So let us begin. I'm going to share my screen with you. And please, beloveds, we're up to 19, so someone else has arrived. Let me see, I missed, I might have missed it. This is done alphabetically, so if your name doesn't stand out, I might not. But I do welcome you if I didn't get to say, oh, I see Kim, I think Kim. Okay, great, excellent, okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. And these words are from the book, The Golden Sun Egg, which is the universal Ba itself. So here we are, beloveds, and those of you who may have a copy of the book, you're doing well in already having that in your library. And let me just grab this little spotlight thing. And at some point, I'll shift to perhaps some PowerPoints to just show you some bigger images as we go along. But in order to begin our story of cosmogony and cosmogenesis, we must re-immerse ourselves in the noon, and what I've called in this book, the new inward, because we are a people who have been so battered by the colonizing inward, which we'll talk about in another wisdom service. Because this word too is been debased and distorted to be injurious to African people and the consciousness of African people. We will immerse ourselves deeper in those studies in upcoming wisdom services. But here we are in the noon, which is what our African ancestors called the waters of space, the cosmic waters. So the noon word, the most primal N word is nu or noon. What is nu or noon? In the arising of the cosmic egg, in understanding of cosmogony and cosmogenesis, the creation of universe, we understand that within the infinite, boundless, all in all, the Amen, there is a stirring within this infinite, boundless blackness, darkness of spirit, the limitless, unconditioned substance of itself takes of itself. The spirit matter is called nu or noon by the Commissions. You'll see it is also Ka, which I'll talk about also. It is the waters of space. Our story of creation is retranslated and expressed according to E.A. Wallace Budge, the gods of the Egyptians. In the papyrus of nes-amsu, the book of knowing the evolutions of Ra and of overthrowing a Pepi. And so in this papyrus, two versions are given. So I give a brief version in my book of each. And in version 1, we read the words of Nebuchadnezzar. So this is the naming of the universal, the creator, the naming of the creator, that which is stirring, as there are other naming as well. The words of Nebuchadnezzar, the Neb Lord of the universe, and a form of the sun god Ra, which he spoke after he came into being. So he said, because how does creation create? Creation, or the creator, takes what? Of the substance of itself. Out of the noon, it is taking the substance out of itself. The creator doesn't go to Home Depot to begin the creative process. The creator takes of the substance of itself, this primal waters, also we call synonymous with the word ka, spirit, these primal waters. He says, I was the creator of what came into being. I am he who came into being in the form of Khepera. And I'll show you, I'll hold up this image of, maybe, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see both simultaneously, but I'll show you that now, and you'll see one as we go along, and hopefully one in the PowerPoint. He says, I am he who came into being in the form of Khepera. I was or became the creator of what came into being, the creator of all what came into being. After my coming into being, many were the things which came into being, coming forth from my mouth. So we see this version in the creative process. And then we see this version B, which is, I came into being in the forms of Khepera, coming into being in primeval time. I came into being in the forms of Khepera. I was or became the creator of what came into being. That is to say, I produced myself from the primeval matter which I made, the substance of myself. I take from the substance of myself. I produced myself from primeval matter. My name is Asura, the primeval matter of primeval matter. So we see the name in Khepera, Nebuchadnezzar, Asura, we'll see Ptah, all naming for this stirring within this creative substance. Next in that creation is, I brought into my mouth my own name. We see the importance of naming, because this words are vibration, and how universe becomes hurled into manifestation and stays in manifestation. We read, I brought into my own mouth, that is to say, a word of power. So this is the Hekar, a word of power. This is the initiating creative process. And even I came into being in the form of things which came into being. So he brought himself into being. And I came into being in the forms of Khepera. So we're going to go deeper into Khepera. I came into being from the primeval matter, coming into being in multitudes of forms from the beginning. Not existed any created things in this land. I made whatsoever was made, everything. So beloveds, we have our own Genesis, our own creation story. Our Genesis story does not start in the Bible. Our story predates the Bible. It goes on to say, I was alone. Not existed any other who worked with me in that place. I made all the forms therein by means or out of the Ba. Beloveds, this is about the Ba, the cosmic egg. Out of the Ba, the divine soul, that which I raised up therein out of Nu. i.e. the primeval abyss of water, from a state of inertness or inert mass. The beauty of immersing ourselves in the creative process. We continue, not found I there, i.e. in Nu, the waters, a place wherein I could stand. I worked with the spirit, Kut, which was in my heart. So now, we're talking about not only what is formed in the mouth, in the word, the utterance that speaks universe into creation, but what was in the heart of the creator. I worked with the spirit, Kut, which was in my heart. I laid a foundation before me. I made all whatsoever that was made. I was alone. I laid a foundation in my heart. I made the other things which came into being, and manifold were the things which came into being of Khepra. So we're talking that movement in this creative process of all of the elements, the word, the stirring within the Nu. And we'll look at the forces that are stirring within the Nu in a moment. The word, the utterance out of the creator who had created himself out of nothingness. How do we move from nothingness to somethingness? We continue, came into being within in Khepra, what they in turn in time will gave birth to out of the creations of their offspring. So it is within this cosmic egg, which is symbolized by Khepra, which we'll talk about in a moment, is all the to be created forms right from the beginningless beginning that will be the to be birthed forms into being, into manifestation. So then I write here, my writing here, the Cometians use the symbol Khepra, which powerfully expresses this divine creative process. So we see Khepra here. Khepra is a beetle that lays its eggs, then rolls them up in doom and pushes them along in a ball. So we see Khepra pictured here at right. If we dispel the word, we see the word, if we dispel the word ball, we see that these eggs are balls within the greater ball or egg that contains the germ of life, which in due course of time will become living beings. So Khepra, in laying its eggs, these are the little lives, the to be birthed lives, and it rolls it in this dome ball. And this for our African ancestors was such a power. This was a little terrestrial being, but as above, so below as above. Our African ancestors in their infinite wisdom saw that this beetle, this doomed beetle, Khepra, had its correspondence on the highest plane of creation, which is in the creation of the universal egg itself. And we'll see as we continue that all in universe is within this doomed ball to be birthed. The egg that contains the germ of life, which in due course of time will become living beings. And likewise expressed, we continue with the reading from the papyrus. Even I spat or emitted shu, and I emitted tefnut, and I became, from being one God, I became three gods. That is to say, from myself, two gods came into being on this earth. We're raised up through, therefore, shu and tefnut in Nu, i.e. the primeval abyss of water, wherein they were, it is the fount of all being. the infinite all in all. It is the fount, the waters of noon. It is the fount of all possibility. It is nothingness and simultaneous everythingness. And so we're raised up, therefore, Shu and Tefnut and Nu, the primeval abyss of water where they were. And behold, they, Shu and Tefnut, brought to me my eye, the sun. And we see that eye here. I don't know if you can see this out. Maybe I'll show you. It will come up in a future drawing. But so this is the raising up of the universal Ba, the universal egg, which is the eye, which is the eye of Ra. And here we have all the to-be lives that germinating within the cosmic egg, the universal Ba itself in total. Out of the blackness, out of the darkness, there is the arising of this light, this and it is light that is the first manifestation out of darkness. And we're going to study more about this eye, because look here, family, behold, they, Shu and Tefnut, brought to me my eye, the sun. In the train of a Henty period, they proceeded from me. I collected my members, they, Shu and Tefnut, came forth from myself after I had union with my clenched hand, came to me, my heart or will of my hand, the seed which fell into my mouth. I spat in the form of Shu. I emitted water in the form of Tefnut. So here is more of the unfolding in this story. Because what I write here is within the waters of noon, there is, and you must go here, family, imaginatively, you must go here, immersing yourself in these primal waters, in the blackness, in the darkness, and this is uppercase blackness, capital B, capital L, capital A, capital C, capital K, capital D, capital A, capital R, capital K, uppercase blackness and darkness, not to be distorted and confused with lowercase darkness, which is the accumulation of our own wrong thought, word, act, and deed, because we've been given choice to be working co-creatively in this great divine plan. And we at times misappropriate energy and work out of accord with that divine plan because we're not in alignment. So we see here within the waters of noon, there is an arising of the great breath and the fires of Ra. And the circumgyration within the waters of noon set to work the sphericalizing force of Kepra. Just visualize that, beloveds. The fire of Ra thrills within the primordial waters of noon. And the twin creative forces called Shu and Tefnut by the Kamishins are set to work. These are the children of Ra. So just imagine this movement that begins to happen in the waters. These children of Ra, Shu and Tefnut, they are the centripetal and the centrifugal twin forces at work in nature, producing air, heat, light, which is Shu, and moisture, Tefnut. So this is the primal masculine and feminine forces in this centripetal movement, and then this centrifugal movement that then engage in this process where there is a raising of a mound within the waters of Nu. The first mound builders was the Creator itself. Together, they engage in an infolding and unfolding play and display between themselves, like the yin and yang symbol. And through their interweaving dance, spirit penetrates and pervades itself. So just imagine these forces, centripetal and centrifugal, and the raising of a mound. And these Shu and Tefnut are these fires of Ra that are now circumgyrating in the waters of Nu. And the circumgyration of the fires of Ra within the waters raises a mound within Nu. And as the fire circles, visualize this, beloveds, flames leap and seek to pierce the mound or egg, just as the male sperm seeks to penetrate the female ovum. As above, so below is above. And at last, one solitary spark leaps high above all other flames. It takes aim, makes its descent, and shooting forth as a solitary ray of the absolute. This fire penetrates and impregnates the primordial mother matter. So we see, beloveds, as we move into this imagery of what is happening, from the stirring within Aman, or the waters of Nu, because we're naming, our African ancestors gave names, Aman, Atum, the primeval waters, the boundless all in all. From the stirring within Aman, there is a raying forth of light, and the one issues forth as creator. So now we have the one that is issued for this egg, the arising now of universal Ba, the coming into manifestation of universe or cosmos. This is where we are, beloveds, today in our wisdom service. We're witnessing the arising of the universe, of cosmos itself, the universal Ba, known to our African ancestors, and would later be called the Big Bang by science. Our African ancestors didn't call it that. The one egg now fecundated or fertilized is called various names by the Cometians, which include the universal Ba, the world egg, world soul, the cosmic egg, the cosmic sun. This is our universal sun, the eye of Ra. And we've talked many times in terms of location and moving along the grand scale of creation, that our African ancestors looked up at the sun we can see on the horizon today, this morning, beloveds, as we gather for this wisdom service, which they called Ra. They knew of the Ra, the sun, that Ba on the eastern horizon when they arose in the morning. And simultaneously, our African ancestors knew through the law of correspondence that, and using the law of as above, so below, that there is likewise the arising of the universal egg in total, the universal Ba, which they couldn't see, but because they could see our local sun on the horizon, our African ancestors, extrapolated and understood these laws, this movement, this genesis, this creation story. We continue here. so also called the I, and I'm going to go back to the I, the cosmic sun and the eye of Ra. It is also called Nginga, which is the word for seed. So if you think about an eye or a seed, in the language of Kakongo, according to Dr. Kimba Wendy Dende Kia Benseki Fukiao, the cosmic egg, and I had the joy and pleasure of knowing and actually co-presenting with this scholar here, who's now an ancestor, and attending his homegoing service because he was his service was held here in Boston. Continuing, the cosmic egg is humbly pictured in the diagram actually that I'm holding up. I hope you can see it. And I say here humbly in my writing, as no image can adequately capture the divine movement. This cosmic egg is called the Eye of Ra because it is the all-seeing eye. It is the all-seeing and all-knowing eye that arises out of the noon. So this is the all-seeing eye. And this is the all-seeing eye that we simultaneously are working to activate within us as that first eye, that all-seeing eye, that first eye. And we read here in further in version A more about this. Well, I want to go back here before I go into the genealogy. I want to go back to the eye. And 21, let's see, do we have any questions? All right, well, again, you may place your questions in the Q&A and I will get to them. But we want to understand Shu and Tefnut, these twin forces of Shu and Tefnut, this masculine and feminine force, this centripetal and centrifugal force in nature that is our creation story. Because here we see, literally, no pun intended, that this Ra says, even I spat, emitted Shu, and I emitted Tefnut, and I became from being one God, I became three. So this idea, this ideation, this out of the zero or cipher, we have this enumeration into the one, into the two, into the three, which would on another level be reflected as the divine trinity of Osir, Oset, and Heru, which we'll talk about later. But I emitted, and I became from being one God, I became three gods. That is to say, from myself, two gods came into being out of this earth, were raised up, therefore, Shu and Tefnut in Nu, the primeval abyss of water wherein they were. And behold, this is so key, beloveds, because this is the spiritual journey of unfolding consciousness. This is where it's at. This is where so many elements are reflected of the journey. This is a major element. It says, Shu and Tefnut were in Nu, the primeval abyss of water wherein they were. Behold, they, Shu and Tefnut, brought to me my eye, the sun. And so this is the beginningless beginning, where out of blackness, darkness, there's the arising of light. And this cosmic egg, this universal Ba, which simultaneously is the universal I. This is how this Ba now is in a process of sighting of itself. It is beginning a process of the sighting of itself, the sighting of itself in these myriad to be created forms that we know are resonant within because of the power of that symbol, Kepra, coming into existence, all that is coming into existence, the to be created forms. So I want to go back here where we were. Then we go to version A in terms of what is simultaneously happening, because it's all happening at once. There's an all at onceness to this. We look at version A and we read from the papyrus that, and likewise express, Shu and Tefnut. So now we're making our deeper immersion. We're taking those deeper immersion steps. And it says, Shu and Tefnut give birth to Geb and Nut. So I'm holding up this. So now we're talking about our genealogy. And you'll see an image of this in a moment, further down in the reading. But we have this is picturing here, Shu and Tefnut give rise to Geb and Nut. So we see Geb and Nut pictured here. And and these are all nature, Shu and Tefnut, Geb and Nut, these are all nature, qualities of divinity. Shu and Tefnut give birth. Now we have the progeny, the birthing, the genealogy, the birthing process. Naming our African ancestors, what came next? Shu and Tefnut give birth to Geb and Nut. And Geb and Nut give birth to Osir, Oset, Set, Nebehet, and Haru Kent on Mati. From the womb, one after the other of them they give birth, and they multiply this earth. So we are in now the creative process. And version B reads just a little differently, so I place them both here, which says, and behold, their children, the children of Osir, Oset, Set, Nebehet, and Haru Kent on Mati, they create beings manifold in this earth, from the beings of children, from the beings of their children. So, we must honor that we are the children of, Osir and Oset. We are the children. They create beings manifold in this earth from the beings of children, from the beings of their children. They invoke my name. They overthrow their enemies. They create words of power for the overthrow of a Pep, who is to be bound by the hands of a cur. Not may be his 2 hands, not may be his 2 feet. May he be chained to one place, even as Ra inflicts his blows decreed for him. He is overthrown on his wicked back. Slit is his face for what he hath done, and he remains upon his evil back. So this is part of the spiritual and psychological journey of unfolding consciousness to come into that which would confront Ba, and that which must be contained and mastered as Ba. So this cosmic genealogy, I write here. So the gods and goddesses Shu and Tefnut give birth to gods and goddesses Geb, the god of the earth, and you'll see that pictured below, right here, bigger picture, Geb and Nut. Below at left, it is pictured below at left, lying underneath his wife, Nut. So this is the divine couple. This is again, the expression of the masculine and feminine creative power together, working together in the creative process. And then Shu, not shown. That's in between. Other images show Shu. Shu was the god of air between the couple. Notice the correspondence with the Masonic symbol at right, which has been taken from the Kemetic wisdom. So this is what, Spirit revealed to me many decades, 2 decades plus ago, that this was this, or that they had co-opted this symbolism. In Kemetic cosmology, Gebenut produced the great sun egg from which the sun god sprang. Gebenut, in turn, are father and mother giving birth to the gods, goddesses. So again, we see the genealogy coming forth as Wasir or Osir or Set, Nebuchadnezzar, or sometimes called Nephthys, that's the Greek version, and Haru, Kent, An, Ma'a. So we have that picture in there. Now, so in continuing, beloveds, I'm just looking to see if there's any questions there. We're up to 21, that's wonderful. And let's see more in the chat. I'll go there in a little bit. The eye of Ra and the egg. All right, here we are. The eye of Ra and the egg correspond in our African cosmology and cosmogenesis. So here we have, so the goose god and the golden sun egg. And in the Afrikan cosmology of Kemet, the egg is symbolic. The egg, powerful brothers and sisters, the egg is symbolic of the entire psycho-spiritual journey in unfolding consciousness. So here is when God, the infinite, is reflected forth as God, the creator. So God, the infinite, or the Neb, or nature, and I use words nature, Neb, and I will also use the word God because many people are very familiar with this word, and we have to speak their language and tell them our language. Here is when God, the infinite, is reflected forth as God, the creator. So this just sort of, coming into being of creator. Thus, universe is created. And what does that mean? With all its multiplicity within of what? What is within? Supercosmic galaxies, constellations, suns, planets, humans, animals, and so on. Just as God indwells you as an individual man or woman, God indwells the planets, suns, constellations, and so on, galaxies, and so on, up to and including the universe in total, which is called universal Ba. Ba means soul, and God is reflected in all that is created. God transcendent becomes God indwelling. And you're going to see an image in a moment where this is being expressed. So as man and woman, you, me, are made in the image and likeness of God, or nature. Therefore, man and woman have all the divine attributes of God, of nature. We have access to all the substance at this level of immersion where we are as man and woman, that the creator in the universal Ba in total has access to. These divine qualities or attributes are called nature or neteru, which is the plural. The dance of the twin forces of Shu and Tefnut enables the coming into manifestation of myriad life forms. So here we are with the myriad life forms. And this, from this cosmic egg, which is the universal, all worlds, all creation arises. And again, as I have read, the super galaxies, constellations, suns, planet man, and tiniest atom come into being, everything in between. Therefore, beloveds, Ba is tiniest atom and subatomic particles, because we know they've gone into the atom and now they've found these subatomic particles. And Ba is ultimately universe in total. Universe and Ba is everything in between. And there is Ba within Ba within Ba, beloveds. There is egg within egg within egg. There is I within I within I. And there is seed within seed within seed. So this is expressed in the great scale of being that I'm going to show you now. Here we see this diagram here. And here we see pictured the universal Ba, or this image here, humbly presented as universe in total, God. So there is that God in form, indwelling Ba universe. And if we come down this great scale of being, and then move back up, we have, there is, if we come down here to the atom, atom is Ba. There is that God in form that is indwelling Ba as atom. There is God in form that is indwelling Ba as man. There is God in form that is Ba that is indwelling, in a planet, and a sun in a constellation, Aries, the constellation of Leo. Then we move to super constellations. There is God indwelling in form, the God indwelling in the galaxies, the super cosmic galaxies, up to, we can't even name all that is within this great scale of being. And one of the things that comes, a term that comes from the esoterics phraseology, is to say, to describe that as the one about whom naught may be said, meaning there are those those interfications of Ba all throughout universe that we can't even name. If you look at some of the maps on galaxies, you see that there's been the naming of many galaxies, but we haven't named everything. Nothing, everything is not named. And yet our African ancestors took us to the primal beginnings and how it got started with the calling of the word to the mouth and listening in the heart and getting this thing started. And so then I go on to say, let's appreciate the limitation in any diagram representing the evolutionary advancement in consciousness. In these representations, innumerable, as I was starting to say, entities on every rung of the evolutionary ladder of consciousness, of spiritual development, are left out. We just don't even know what they are. Nevertheless, the idea is to see that the same essential Ba at every level of its, to see that same essential Ba at every level of its immersion. And you, me, as man and woman, we are Ba at our level of immersion in matter. A tree is Ba at its level of immersion in matter. A turtle is Ba at its level of immersion in matter. And the planet Venus is Ba at its level of immersion in matter. All is Ba. And this is the symbol, beloveds. The mythological and religious texts contain indications that the Egyptians believed in what may be described as a world soul, which they call Ba, and its symbol was a bearded man-headed hawk. And this Kemetic Medu-Neter symbol is pictured in the diagram at right, and I showed you one in the beginning. And the universal Ba is inclusive of each successive Ba. So we are in the, you know, that the atoms are in us. We are within this the bar of the Neter Geb, our earth. We are in the bar of the, we are within that Ba that is ensouling our earth, Geb. We are in the being that is ensouling our sun that we rose up this morning on the eastern horizon. The universal Ba is inclusive of each successive Ba. Each successive Ba takes place along a great scale of entities, both vast and both small. Each Ba is referred to as an individualization of spirit, and spirit is called Ka by the Kemetians. As such, each Ba represents a level of conscious activity, which is called soul by the Kemetians or the Kemeta'u. And let me just see if there's any, I'm gonna go to the chat. I don't see any questions, so let me just take a moment and then I'll come back if time allows and see where we are. Okay, so Doug says, Hotep, everyone, good morning. Let's see, did we miss anyone? Diane says Hotep, Rosangela says Hotep, and then Rosangela says, I have to travel and can't stay until the end. Hope the recorded will be available. Wonderful and powerful, perhaps powerful presentation. And oh, and Nikki says to herself, safe travel. Okay, all right. So all right, so we're in listening mode and we have some time left. I don't see any questions right now, so I will continue. Good, this will give us just the amount of time. So, beloveds, we're in the cosmogenesis and cosmogony of our story, our creation story. So, and our African ancestors gave us these primary Medu-Neter, primal Medu-Neter, Ka-Aba, which I have named my book after, Ka-Aba, Building the Lighted Temple, because this is what we are doing, building the lighted temple. So Ka-Aba, building the lighted temple with the metaphysical keys to the tree of life. So our African ancestors give us these symbols and teach us that in Ka, that Ka is spirit. Ka is spirit, just as the noon. Ka is spirit, and Ka, just as in the noon, takes of the substance of itself to what? And that Ka is represented by these upstretched arms that I'm pointing out here. And Ka is also called the double because there is the doubling aspect of Ka. So Ka, spirit, represented by these upstretched arms, takes of the substance of itself. So we come today in this creative process to be with the movement. And here we have additional language for understanding that movement. Ka, spirit, all is noon. Ka, spirit, takes of the substance of itself. To what? To see itself in form, which is represented by these upstretched arms. This is the movement within creation. So this Ka, spirit, takes of the substance of itself to see itself in form. This is the physicalizing aspect of Ka. And why is that? Because if all is spirit and spirit can only take from the substance of itself, it doesn't go to Home Depot. Well, how does it how does it come into thingness, somethingness? Our Kemetic ancestors teach us about the law of vibration. And so they teach us that all is spirit, and that Ka, spirit, is Ka, spirit, is matter, becomes matter at its lowest level of vibration, and Ka, spirit, is matter is spirit at its highest level of vibration. All is spirit, all is Ka. And we're in this vibrating where we will see Ka in its more spiritual aspect, or we'll see Ka in its more material aspect, more dense, coarse, or more on a high vibration, more refined. And all right, so Ka, spirit, takes of the substance of itself to see itself in form. But that's not all the universal Ba is wanting to do, is just see itself in form. I mean, what's the point in coming into manifestation to just to be able to just see itself in form? Ka, spirit, takes up the substance of itself to what? Have consciousness in form. And this is the spiritual journey of unfolding consciousness, beloveds, that we are immersing ourselves in, that we may have this grand panoramic view to really enjoy the journey in all its elements. Ka, spirit, takes up the substance of itself to see itself in form, to have consciousness in form. And our African ancestors teach us that this symbol is the symbol of the heart. It's the seat of conscience and consciousness. And so as this awareness, this growing awareness, this conscience grows, consciousness grows. And as consciousness grows, Ab becomes Ba. You see the reversal here of Ba. As Ab then becomes Ba. And this would later be called in Christianity, our Father and I are one. My Father and I are one. In what we say here is my father, mother, and I are one, because it's a putting and knitting ourselves back together again. And okay, so let me we're getting close to the time here. All right, so beloveds, so finally, I think in a little bit of time, we're starting not to have left. Just see how we're doing. Okay, that I hold up this symbol here to show you that it may aid in consciousness, that I'm holding up these beads. So beloveds, imagine in these moments that we have left together today, these wonderful moments we have spent today in this, immersing ourselves in the grandest ideation and deep thought that we could find in taking the deep dive in our primal wisdom and beginnings. That just see these beads and just imagine this, see this necklace, this beaded necklace, and beloveds, see the correspondence here, that each of these is a bar. Each of these is a bar. So if you think about this diagram here, just take one just to make it easier. If you think about this diagram here, and as I hold up these beads, all of these are bar. All of these are bar. There's bar universe. There's bar galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. There's bar Jupiter. There's bar Geb, our Earth. There's bar man and woman. There's bar bird. There's bar elephant. There is bar all from the the insect kingdom, animal kingdom, lizard, cricket, crocodile, and then we go into the atomic and the subatomic. We go into the all is Ba. There is the one and the same essence and divine intelligence in each Ba. And we have the one and the same Ba in essence in the sighting of itself, Ba, the universal Ba, who was given the eye by Shu and Tefnut, then begins to see itself in all its immersion and form, including, beloveds, and this is where our future wisdom series will go in terms of understanding Ba and understanding the spiritual journey of unfolding consciousness in its travails and its triumphs, because we want to enjoy the journey. And if we understand from our widest angle what is the reason and meaning in being, then we can fully participate and enjoy. And so Ba has found itself immersed in forms as human. Just to give you a little preview of where we will be going. As human in forms grand, refined, and glorious. And then Ba is, and in circumstances, grand, refined, and glorious. And Ba has found itself in form and circumstance vile and coarse and grotesque and dark, and lowercase darkness. And so we are wanting to understand Ba at whatever level of immersion in matter it finds itself. And as we look at one's particular life, we want to understand, because we can bewail, we can say, how is it that I'm in this, as Kunta Kinte bewailed, as he found himself in the circumstances of the ship of enslavement, as George Floyd bewailed as he found himself under the knee of his would-be killer, Ba finds itself in circumstances both glorious, as when we were kings and queens in Kemet, and grotesque. And this is the spiritual and psychological journey of being Ba at our level of immersion and seeing the way to enjoy the journey. We are just about at that time, beloveds, and let me just move here. And as I do and before I do, these beads are Ba, and the cord that is holding them together is Ka, because Ka is spirit that what? Takes up the substance of itself to see itself in form. So in each Ba, each of these Ba, whether it's the universal or whether it's of the Milky Way galaxy or whether it's of the planet Saturn, there is that which is Ka-Ba in each. Ka-Ba is in each Ba. Ka-Ba is at work in each Ba. Ka-Ba is within each Ba. And so these are deep thought to hold on to. And as more and more passes are made in this primal wisdom, the revelation, the insights deepen, and things become clearer. Let me see if I have a moment here to just stop my screen share and here. Let me see. I'm going to say, let's see if I can share my screen. And we're going to be right on time. So just going to, I trust everyone can see that. So we have been here in Ka-Ba, in the golden sun egg in this book here. In this book here. All right. And here is Ba, the soul. And we looked at the arising of the universal Ba and the Kepra as that symbol of coming into being, coming into existences, and of our cosmic genealogy and cosmogenesis, and understanding that all is spirit and how spirit is taking of this substance of itself to entify, to create entities. These are entities. These are entifications, or Ba, something out of nothingness. And where we also will pick up and study more is that Ka-Ba correspond with the divine trinity within us. And that brings us into the tree of life and the divine trinity of Osir, Oset, and Haru, which is a major part of our story in the knitting ourselves back together again. And in the, we see the correspondence of Ka, Ab, and Ba in divine nature and trinity of Osir, Osir, Haru, and Oset, the divine trinity within us. The divine trinity isn't outside of us. The divine trinity is in us. It is at the core of our being and story. So on that note, beloveds, I'm going to come back to, let's see, is there something in the chat? Horace says, I love this lesson, which clarifies the concept that the Ba comes to do the will of the Ka. Absolutely. And you know, as there are those among the wisdom service who have been taking the deeper plunge into really the very precise and detail of this, in coming to have more ease and even speaking the language of it. So Horace, who has been a part of those studies, says, I love this lesson, which clarifies the concept that the Ba comes forth to do the will of the Ka. Yes, because if you're walking along with someone and you just say, you know, the Ba comes forth to, you know, you're out getting your morning walk with someone, Sunday walk, and you just turn to them and you say, you know, the Ba comes forth to do the will of Ka. You cannot have these conversations everywhere, and you cannot have them with everyone. But truly, those who are here have been chosen. They know what time it is. They have incarnated at just the right time to do their finest work, because your finest hour has arrived in the fulfillment of your life work and your life purpose. And beloveds, we know in order to do this work in this dimensional shift that we're in, this major time that we're in, which I talk about at length in other wisdom services and in YouTube's, we need the most potent wisdom and dose, so that we know the good and perfect thing to do, and we do it. And we cannot do this on any derivative or something that has been misnamed or misappropriated. We need our own medicine, and where is the most finest place to go for that medicine is back to our, and I always, today I have my more well-worn book with all its markings, our primal wisdom, among other sources. All right, so then he says, and then we're going to end. He says, clarify, let's see, represented by Haru sitting on the lap stool of Osset, Ikur, and learning and seeing the way. Yes, Ikur. Form of Haru. Okay. And then Roderick says we need the most protonate dose of wisdom. Love it. Beautiful, Roderick. Great to have you here with us today. And, you know, please do come, everybody, tell others about the work that we're doing here. And, you know, it takes some, well, I imagine folks would say some bravery to come into these ethereal waters, because we're taking a deep plunge. All right, so then we are at that time, and let me just come back here and say to each and every one of you, it's always a joy. Please share the links with others so that they may become members. For those who have been coming, become a member. This is how we'll be able to keep the wisdom service going. And for those who, you know, that would like to come just first as an invited guest, you can send them that guest pass. They would be able to make a contribution with the guest pass, and or come for free. It's your choice option. And then again, you know, those who are coming are working in their mastery, and we know in working in our mastery, we are working in accord with the laws of Ma'at, and the Kemetic laws, the law of reciprocity. So we know we receive, we need to give to support. And it's a cyclical process that helps the fullness and richness of something to really thrive and grow. And we need to, you're not going to find this in spacious, well-funded universities. I don't care how much you spend for tuition. And because we've all been there. People who come here have been to spacious and well-funded universities. Nellie says, thank you. And more and more, you're going to see suppression on top of the suppression that's already been there in these spacious and well-funded universities that are locked and adamant and determined not to teach our stuff or give any attribution for the stuff that we have given the world as African people, primal people who have given in every human endeavor in civilization, we have taught and we have given. And so we continue to give from the potency that we know is going to be life-giving and enriching. And beloveds, I say enjoy your Sunday. Look to see you and others next Sunday. And I say Onk Uja Seneb, life, prosperity. And so it is.